Hey, it's Mazzy here. Let's talk about George Harrison on his birthday, the 25th of February. Today is his, what would have been George Harrison's 79th birthday. It is 2022, and I've done rankings of Harrison. I've done solo catalog, and I just wanted to showcase his records again. So no definitive thing. I'm going to go in order, not ranking, talk a little bit about the great George Harrison now. This is from my record store days, a header card that Capitol put out a series of these for each Beatle, as well as the band for each solo album, up until what was out at the time. So obviously these are put out in 1973, so it goes up to Living in the Material World. So not much, and it doesn't count the earlier, the cooler records, some might say. And here's another one, a header card Warner Brothers put out for 33 1/3, and we'll get into that in a bit. But just go quickly. Happy birthday, George. I miss you. I saw him two times live, I believe. And at the end of this, I'm going to stick some photographs I took at the 1974 Dark Horse Tour in the Bay Area in San Francisco. Wonderwall music, the soundtrack to the film, a very Eastern mix. He recorded it in London and with almost all Eastern musicians, including Eric Clapton. Does a fantastic guitar riff on a song called Skiing. This is amongst my top 3 George Harrison records. It's really original. It crosses from Western music to Indian classical and pop music, and it's just a really cool record. So Wonderwall music by George Harrison, I love it to pieces. Then this is a problematic album. This is Electronic Sounds, 2 long extended pieces, which were actually just demos and futzing around, and one of which was with Bernie Krause, who came to London. Bernie Krause, a member of Bernie Beaver and Krause, and also was an early salesman for the Moog synthesizer. In fact, Bernie Krause and Paul Beaver had a booth up at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967, really showcasing the Moog synthesizer, and Harrison was one of the early adopters. So and he put this album out unbeknownst to Paul Beaver, and Paul Beaver's name was was whited out at some point. Paul Beaver was not happy with this. This is experimental, ambient. A lot of people dislike it. I think it's really interesting. I get it, but and this was on the Zapple record, which is a short-lived experimental side that only John and George participated in, part of Apple Records. This is also a fantastic record, produced by George Harrison, the Radha Krsna Temple, that George really brought in the studio, and George was sort of immersed in with this group of the Radha Krsna Temple. There is a song on here that I played a lot, Govinda, which is the opening track, is really a wonderful chant, and I think this is a gorgeous record. This is designed, the cover by John Kosh, who designed the cover for Abbey Road and Let It Be, as well as many other records of Linda Ronstadt. Radha Krsna Temple, produced by George Harrison on Apple Records. What can I say about this? This is one of my many copies of All Things Must Pass. I think the greatest solo Beatles album. Triple record set, actually 2 records plus a live jammy set that some people didn't like. I think it's kind of a fun extra. The original copy of this set, this is a reissue, but my original copy sounds fantastic. I am one that does not have a problem with the Phil Spectorization. I think it works. I think it improves. I think it's better than the new remix, although I enjoy the remix. This is the 2001 version that George oversaw, where he tried to change some things, add a few cuts, add a color cover. I think it's somewhat misguided from my point of view, but it's an interesting alternative version of All Things Must Pass, with this great cover photograph by Barry Feinstein taken at Friar Park George's estate at Henley-on-Thames. Of course, we just celebrated the 50th anniversary of the concert for Bangladesh, and hopefully they'll do some kind of anniversary edition of this with the rehearsals and everything. This is the great concert that Ravi Shankar came to George Harrison in a plea to help the starvation and the famine in Bangladesh. Obviously, Dylan and Eric Clapton, and Leon Russell, and Billy Preston, and Badfinger, and just a tour de force, an amazing show, 2 shows at Madison Square Garden. And this was the first of the benefit concerts, and really George really started it with money going to UNICEF, and money still today goes to this charity, and it's a fantastic live record and film, I believe shot on 16 millimeter, blown up to 72 millimeter. Material World, a follow-up to All Things Must Pass. How can you follow up All Things Must Pass? And he did it pretty well. Some people were slightly disappointed, although this did have a huge hit with Gimme Love, Gimme Peace on Earth. We got Nicky Hopkins and Gary Wright on here, Klaus Verman, Jim Keltner, Jim Horn. I think we also have, let's see, no we don't. Anyway, part of it was produced by Phil Spector. I love this record. He wears his religion on his sleeve, but he's not pushing it down your throats. It's preachy to some, but it's a really beautifully recorded record, and I'm a fan of this record, Living in the Material World. Well done, George. Extra Texture, read all about it. A somewhat problematic record. The opening track, You, should have been a bigger hit single, although it's sped up and his voice is a little strange, but it's a great riff, got a great guitar riff. It's got Jim Gordon and Jim Keltner on drums, so those great powerhouse drummers. Jim Gordon, probably the best rock and roll drummer of the 1970s. This guitar, Can't Keep From Crying. World of Stone, Ooh Baby, You Know That I Love You, a song I think he was kind of hoping that Smokey Robinson would do. One of these records has that. Tired of Midnight Blue, Great Holiday Lives. His name is Legs, about Legs, Larry Smith from the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. A problematic record. George was going through a period, he just didn't seem to sustain that, sustain it all. Actually, I think I'm going out of order here, but this is from 1975. So yeah, this is out of order. So before you start writing your comments below, that's a picture from the 1974 Dark Horse tour. This should have been first. This is Dark Horse. Now, problematic record because for whatever reason, and I always wonder, to this day I wonder, why did George record this record and tour in 1974 when his voice was shot? I saw one of the early tours, I saw a couple of these tours, and his voice was not great. That's probably part of the reason they haven't ever issued a concert film. All the band was great. It was the first time I had seen a Beatle live, and it was fantastic. I saw 2 of those shows, and you're going to see some photographs at the end of this. And on this, even though there's that single Dark Horse, which is a really cool song, it's just it's just what could have been. It's that missed opportunity. He could have had his voice well recorded, not crazy, not garbled, not throaty, not scratchy, would have made this a better album. Ding Dong Ding Dong is like a great New Year's Eve song. I love that song on here. And Far East Man, which was also covered by Albert Lee of 10 Years After and Mylon Lefevre on their album on Columbia Records. So George Harrison has a tempestuous time after his follow-up there, and he goes to Warner Brothers Records. And this is his debut solo album on Warner Brothers Records, 33 1/3. That's how old he was when this album came out, or he recorded it, I believe. Fantastic record. He's back. He has some hits. He has this song that he was sued for because it was a little bit of the riff like the Chiffon, She's So Fine. Yet that case has been litigated several times. I think he finally, it was overturned later. And he wrote the song for that. Obviously, he even thought he was, if I'm ripping off anything, I'm ripping off Oh Happy Day, that kind of wonderful gospel thing by Edwin Hawkins singers. It also has Crackerpox Palace, which became a really fun video, his entry and collaboration with Monty Python. And a fantastic record all around. I think well recorded, just wonderful. Dark Horse Records at Warner Brothers. He started Dark Horse distributing records through A&M Records, switched to Warner Brothers, but on A&M he never put his own records out on Dark Horse, so not until he went to Warner Brothers. Then he does a self-titled album, George Harrison, and this is produced by George Harrison and Russ Titleman, who was an A&R producer and wonderful producer at Warner Brothers. And I tell you, this might be the best sounding records. If you're looking for something close to audiophile in the George Harrison catalog, discography, it would be this self-titled record. Really well done. Good songs. This is my original promo copy of it. Faster is a great song. He was into racing, car racing. He wrote that song. Dark Sweet Lady, he wrote about Olivia. He met Olivia, who was working at Dark Horse Records, and of course, he eventually married Olivia. Not Guilty, a song from the White Album days, and turned up on the White Album anniversary issues with the Beatles, is on here, as well as Blow Away, which was somewhat of a hit. Here Comes the Moon is a beautiful song. In a way, essentially, a slower sequel, beautifully recorded, beautifully played on the acoustic guitar, a sequel to Here Comes the Sun, George Harrison. This album went through different covers. There's a cover I don't have here that was pulled just before it was released, and he changed it with this, a background painting, I think from the National Portrait Gallery in London. This is the first record George Harrison released after the death of John Lennon, and it has what was considered the, quote, tribute song that George wrote for John Lennon called All Those Years Ago. And it became somewhat of a hit, I think, because of that novelty. I hate to use the term novelty in a way, but Ringo plays drums on it, and Paul and Linda vocalize harmony vocals on it all those years ago. Life Itself, he does a cover of the great song Baltimore Oriole on here. He was really into a lot of like Hoagy Carmichael type covers of that period of the 1940s. A big fan of that music, of Hoagy Carmichael. I like on here a song that should have become a huge hit, which just blasts out of the speakers, is Teardrops. It leads off side 2, and it's a fantastic record. Hong Kong Blues, another, I think Hoagy Carmichael, but if not, that period. I know Hoagy Carmichael did perform it at some point. So George Harrison, Somewhere in England. An album that's grown on me over the years. This is from about 1981 or 1982, called Troppo. Very reminiscent to I think these kind of look alike. Paul McCartney's Egypt Station cover. You know, there's something there, color palette wise. I don't know if that was done on purpose. That was a painting Paul did, so I wonder if he was influenced by this. We'll never know unless Paul's watching this and tells me, hey Paul, it's okay, you can be influenced by another artist. This was sort of ridiculed when it came out, but I think this has grown for me. I like this record. Mystical One, Circles, another song from early Beatles or late Beatles days, Going Troppo. I Really Love You. It is a cover on here of, let's see, what's the Wake Up My Love? Is it Wake Up My Love? Dream Away. I don't really remember. I Really Love You. Anyway, I think this is an interesting record. It's well recorded. It sounds really good. Dark Horse Records, again, Warner Brothers. But nothing, it wouldn't be on my top priority of a George Harrison catalog. But Going Troppo. Now, the comeback album that did really well, and that's this. And it had the benefit of two things. First of all, Jeff Lynne produced it, so he knows how to produce a great pop record. George Harrison was ready. His voice was in fine tune. He had some good songs. This was early in the CD era, so it got the benefit of people snapping up CDs, and it sounded good. And it had the hit, the opening track, the guitar. I tell you, Eric Clapton's guitar on Cloud 9 is a really really great groove, slow opening, bluesy, soulful opening, and I do like that. He also does When We Was Fab, which is his sort of, again, harking back to the Beatle days, and MTV played that video with him and George Harrison on it. Very Sgt. Pepper, Strawberry Fields, I'm the Walrus Like, recorded like that, meant to be sort of a biography in a way of a tribute, tongue-in-cheek tribute to the Beatles, When We Was Fab. But ironically, the hit on here was Got My Mind Set on You, that closes the album, which is an old cover song. And it was a huge hit everywhere. It did really well. It's a great rocker, and it's just a fun song. And the video, I believe, directed by Godley and Krem, the directing team that came out of 10cc, did a great job on that. And that was all over MTV radio. But Fish At a Stand, This Is Love. This Is Love was also somewhat of a hit. But this is a fantastic record. And his last great record before he did the Wilburys. Now, there was a song that was going to be a B-side for his song, which was the hit, and Handle With Care. And Handle With Care ended up being an A-side, and they made an entire album again. And we all know with Tom Petty and Jeff Lynne and Roy Orbison and Bob Dylan and George, obviously, 2 records. One in volume 3, tongue-in-cheek. This is a 12-inch bonus single that came in the box. Handle With Care extended version and End of the Line extended version and a couple of remixes, plus Nobody's Child. Probably in a way the ultimate supergroup. There's a lot of groups that have been coined supergroup. This is probably the real deal. And unfortunately, right after the first album, Roy Orbison died, and they never replaced him, which is kind of good, but everyone was talking, who should they add instead of Roy Orbison? And then lastly, or not last, this is the posthumous record. He was working on this record, and he died, and was finished off, came out a year after his death, produced by Jeff Lynne with Danny Harrison, working on it. And I remember George saying, just don't ELO it too much. That ELO sound here, I think he was getting tired of. This is a really good record. It's a bittersweet record, but it's a nice sounding record, and it's a pretty cool record. It's called Brainwashed by George Harrison. Now, I'm just gonna go through some comps real fast. This is the first comp. Not a great comp. I mean, it's good musically, but it's really unfortunate that when Capitol did all the Beatles solo greatest hits type and best of, they felt the need to put all Beatles songs on side 1. So they do Something, If I Needed Someone, Taxman, Guitar Gently Weeps, and then the solo on side 2. He has a lot of great deep cuts that could have been a full hits album. This is the UK cover of the same album, better cover. This is a later Dark Horse comp, the best of George Harrison. This is the Warner Brothers years. This is a really good comp with, I think there's 2 tracks, unreleased tracks on there. This is volume 1 of Early Takes Volume 1, which was kind of, in a way, a soundtrack of sorts, or came out at the same time as a Martin Scorsese documentary and the book compiled by Olivia Harrison. There was never a volume 2. There's never been a good outtake box or set. That's something that is sorely needed from the Harrison estate. And then this, that originally only came out in Japan, and this is the last tour George did with Eric Clapton in Japan only. There we go. So live tour, that's the tour George should have done in America too. And then of course, George is not on it, but he's all over it at the same time, if that makes any sense. The concert for George at the Royal Albert Hall. This took place 2 years after George's death. I was fortunate enough to attend this concert, and it was just stunning. Watch the video, search out the concert video. This is the limited edition box set of the concert for George, which contains the movie, the concert, obviously. There's two versions of the concert. The one of just the show itself, the band, the music. Another one where they cut back and show rehearsals and backstage banter and things. And I've only watched that later version once. I've watched the full concert many times since I was at the show. But this is a beautiful selection from that concert, November 29th, 2002. So, happy birthday, George Harrison. My heart goes out to Olivia and Danny and all the Beatle fans out there. So happy birthday, and Mazzy loves you.